Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be checking out some very fun battles in the Open Master League featuring an expert run with Kartana. These battles were submitted to the channel by a fellow content creator and Twitch streamer, Iceband, so many thanks for the battle submission, and you can find a link to his stream in the comments down below. Kartana is a grass and steel type Pokemon with the moveset of Razor Leaf, Leaf Blade, and Night Slash, and this trainer pairs it up with a Dragon Tail Groudon and a Chill Drive Genesect to climb to Expert. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out level 50 Kartana in action. Hopping to the first match, picking up a bit of a tough lead, Dragon Tail Groudon into Zacian. We're going to see a safe switch into the Genesect, and the opponent responds with Reshiram. Very nice to bait out the fire type, and this is a fire type that Genesect can actually do a lot of damage to. That Technoblast does a ton of damage, and we're going to see Genesect decide to let this through. Opponent goes for the Crunch, and not going for the Fusion Flare is going to cost them switch advantage or shield advantage. Technoblast onto the Reshiram, it's going to KO, and Genesect is able to win switch, and that should prove to be quite useful, as in the back, the opponent has Dialga, and that is perfect because now the Groudon gets aligned onto the Dialga, and you have the 2-shield Razor Leafer in the back to apply a ton of pressure to that Zacian. Groudon is going to strike first, going for the Fire Punch. Dialga lets that through, and at this point, you just save shields for the Razor Leafer. They go for the Iron Head. That is not going to KO. Groudon trying to make it to the Fire Punch, gets there, but unfortunately, Dialga is going to fire off another Iron Head. Honestly, you could just let this go and begin the Razor Leaf farm down with Kartana. Razor Leaf, not a move typically seen in the Master League, but as you see, Kartana is able to absolutely shred through Zacian. Zacian goes for the close combat. They reach close combat number 2, but Kartana still has both shields remaining, able to shield both. In comes Dialga, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, picking up a Nightmare lead, Groudon into Kyogre. We'll need to immediately save switch out of this matchup, but Genesect still has a poor matchup here. In comes Genesect, opponent is going to switch out and send in Dialga. That is honestly fantastic. Had the Kyogre stayed in, it would have been very tough for the Genesect, but this is a matchup where Genesect can actually fight back. Dialga is going to fire off a charge move. Genesect lets that through. It's the Iron Head. Iron Head gets the Genesect low, but the Genesect is able to hang on, reaching the Technoblast. Technoblast would KO, so the opponent is forced to give up a shield. And now you can send back in Groudon, look for the farm down, and you baited out Dialga, which is a mon that Kartana does struggle against. Groudon is going to commit the shield, able to get the farm down, and now looking to bring in Kartana into that Kyogre. Opponent is going to wait their clock here. In comes Kyogre. It's met with Kartana. In the back, they have Togekiss, and this is really unfortunate, as Kartana can only hit for resisted here. Kartana is going to fire off the Leaf Blade. That lands, and that actually does a surprising amount of resisted damage. Can Kartana actually Razor Leaf down here? We'll have to see. Kartana commits the shield, going for the farm down. Kartana Razor Leafs down a flying type, and in comes Kyogre, but Kyogre is going to get torn to shreds by these Razor Leafs. Kyogre continuing to farm. They're able to farm down Kartana, but now Kartana has gotten it into a range where Groudon may actually be able to get rid of it. Surf lands, Groudon going for the Fire Punch. This is resisted. Is it going to be enough damage to get rid of Kyogre? Yes, it is! And that is a good game. Picking up a pretty decent lead in the next match, Dragon Tail Groudon into Giratina. Thanks to Dragon Tail, Groudon is able to apply massive fast move pressure in this matchup. Giratina is going to strike first, as this is enough for the Shadow Ball. Groudon lets it through. It's the Shadow Ball that does quite a bit of damage. Groudon continuing to farm, and Groudon is going to go for the Earthquake. Earthquake would easily KO here. Earthquake is going to KO, and down goes Giratina. In comes Zacian. We see an immediate pivot into Genesect. Genesect is going to be met with a close combat or a wild charge from the Zacian. Zacian goes for the wild charge. In the back, they have Excadrill, and things are looking really good for Kartana to close in the endgame. Technoblast gets a shield. Opponent is going to fire off a Drill Run. That's perfectly fine. Drill Run is going to KO, but now you can send in Groudon to burn some energy. Opponent not able to reach a charge move before Groudon gets to the Fire Punch. Fire Punch gets a shield. Oh man, Kartana in the 2-0 shield is about to absolutely destroy this endgame. In comes Kartana, these neutral Razor Leafs absolutely tearing through Exca. Exca is going to fire off a drill run, but it's just too little too late at this particular moment. Opponent is going to send in Zacian. Zacian met with the Leaf Blade from Kartana. This will be getting that Zacian deep into the red. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Groudon into Dialga. Opponent is going to save switch into their Giratina altered, and they may have wanted to check the fast move before doing so, because these Dragon Tails are tearing through the Giratina. Giratina does have a lot of energy. They're going to start spamming out these Dragon Claws, and they reach Dragon Claw number 2. Groudon is going to be able to tank this. Groudon farming up, going for the kill shot with the Earthquake. Is the opponent willing to shield in this matchup? Yes, they are. They will commit the shield. They're going for yet another Dragon Claw. This will not KO, but it is getting the Groudon very low. Groudon is going to bank a Fire Punch for later. Send in Genesect. Genesect goes for the Magnet Bomb, but a beautiful catch by the opponent. Their timer was up. They're able to catch the Magnet Bomb back onto Dialga. And now Dialga has gotten alignment onto the Genesect. Genesect, as we've seen, can hit back hard with the neutral Technoblast. And Technoblast is able to grab the final shield from the opponent. So we're setting up a pretty nice situation here where shields are down and Kartana could be able to put in a lot of work. Genesect is able to reach the last second of Magnet Bomb as the Iron Head from Dialga is failing to KO. Groudon still has a Fire Punch from earlier, and it's going to use it. Going for the Fire Punch, this will be some neutral chip damage onto Dialga. Dialga gets low, Groudon farms down, and now Kartana should be able to put in a ton of work in the endgame. Opponent has a Palkia in the back, and it's getting torn to shreds by these neutral Razor Leafs. Kartana is going to commit the shield. It is just the Aqua Tail, but at this point, if you have 2 shields, you may as well start using them. Kartana goes for the Leaf Blade. That's going to be goodbye to Palkia. In comes the Giratina, and Giratina just cannot do enough damage here. It may be a dragon, but it's going to get Razor Leaf down, and that's 4 consecutive wins with Kartana. Hopping to the final game of the set, picking up a tough lead Groudon into Mamoswine. We're going to see an immediate save switch into Genesect. Genesect farming up, going for the Magnet Bomb, but a beautiful catch by the opponent, catching the Magnet Bomb onto Giratina. Honestly, that is some useful chip damage, as this will put it into a range where a Technoblast will be lethal. Genesect firing off the Technoblast. Technoblast does get a shield from the opponent. Giratina continues to overfarm, and this is a tough decision to make. Do you commit a shield in this matchup? He is going to do that. Shields up, it's a Shadow Ball, and is able to reach the Technoblast. This will apply so much pressure onto the opponent. Opponent is going to give up the final shield, and that is honestly pretty nice here. Tough decision time. Genesect is going to let this through, as honestly, they can just go for the Ominous Wind, and Ominous Wind will be enough to KO. Thankfully, we do not see a boost. Groudon looking for the farm down, but Mamoswine says no. Mamoswine is going to fire off the Avalanche. Avalanche does so much damage onto Groudon. Groudon farming up, going for the Fire Punch. Fire Punch will not KO here, but it will get the Mamoswine very low. Aggressive switch, going for the snipe with Kartana, but the opponent reached a last second Avalanche, and things are suddenly looking very dire, as Kartana without shields is going to be in trouble, because that Giratina origin has energy. Back in comes Giratina. Giratina is going to fire off the Shadow Ball. Kartana can do a lot of damage, but that comes at the expense of being very frail. Kartana is going to be taken out by the Ominous Wind, and unfortunately, this will be game over, as there's a Zacian in the back. And that is enough for a 4-1 set, which will hit Expert rank. And I do have a couple miscellaneous Kartana battles to show as well. Picking up a pretty nice lead in the next match, Groudon into another Giratina origin. These Dragon Tails tearing through the Giratina, as Giratina is going to fire off a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will do a lot of damage onto the Groudon. Opponent save switches into Zacian, which will be immediately countered by Genesect. Genesect is able to tank any one charge move here, so Genesect is going to let the close combat through, and now that they've debuffed their defense, Genesect is now able to start firing off Magnet Bombs. Magnet Bomb is going to land and KO the Genesect. Opponent, if they send back in the Giratina, which they do, they're going to have to commit shields if they want to preserve this Giratina, as Technoblast is lethal from this range. We do see a shield from the Giratina. Giratina is able to get the farm down. They leave with a ton of loaded energy. In comes Groudon. Groudon, tough decision to make, commits the shield. Opponent baits with an Ominous Wind. That's a little unfortunate there. Groudon continues the farm, and honestly just gonna let this one through. Opponent goes for another Ominous Wind. It does not KO, and Groudon is able to make it to the Quake. Quake is going to be lethal in the back. They have Xerneas, and Xerneas in the one shield is a bit scary because Xerneas may be able to make it to double close combat. Gonna fire off the Night Slash, hoping for a boost. Unfortunately, no boost is going to happen. Opponent, I believe, is at the double close combats here. We're gonna have to see. Commits the shield. They do have the double close combats. This is going to be close. Can Groudon Dragon Tail down the Xerneas? Yes, it can. Moving into the next match, picking up a tricky lead, Groudon into Zarude. Groudon does get outpaced by Zarude in this matchup, making it even tougher. Groudon farms up, waits 2 turns, and makes a beautiful catch, catching the Power Whip onto Genesect, where it is going to be double resisted. Opponent is going to respond with Zacian, so they are clearly pretty weak to Genesect. Genesect is going to fire off the Magnet Bomb. This is non-lethal, but will do a lot of damage to the Zacian. Zacian has back-to-back moves here, so it's not going to be worth shielding. Zacian goes for the Wild Charge. Genesect able to hang on and make it to the Magnet Bomb with a shred of HP remaining, able to grab a shield from the Zacian. Opponent is going to farm up, and that's not great for them as they're going to lose CMP to Groudon. Fire Punch is going to KO, and they lose a lot of energy. Back in comes Zarude. Zarude is going to be met with a Fire Punch from the Groudon. This Fire Punch is definitely going to add up as it gets Zarude deep into the red. Decision time here, going to let the Groudon go, trusting in 2-shield Kartana. In the back, the opponent has Excadrill, and watch those Razor Leafs go, absolutely shredding through Exca. They fire off the Drill Run. They are trying to reach another charge move. They barely get there. We are going to see a shield used by Kartana, protecting Kartana, and now you just have to get rid of the Zarude. Zarude is going to be met with the double Night Slashes here from Kartana. Kartana, Night Slash, KOs through the shield, because even a shielded charge move does 1 HP of damage. We've got a new lead for the final 2 matches, Terrakion into Giratina Origin, immediate save switch into Genesect, and the unfortunate thing about Terrakion lead with this particular team is it does make the team a lot weaker to Giratina. Shadow Ball is going to be shielded, and then opponent is going to counter swap into Exca. One Technoblast is not going to KO, but it will do a ton of damage, so Exca is going to commit the shield. Thankfully, one Drill Run is also non-lethal from this range, so we are going to see the no shield here from Genesect. Genesect able to hang on and make it to Technoblast number 2. Technoblast is going to get that Exca low. Exca is able to get the farm down, as unfortunately, Genesect falls just short of the Magnet Bomb. They're going to fire off a Drill Run. That does massive damage. Terrakion does get the farm down. We see looking to immediately switch into that Kartana. Back in comes the Giratina, and in the back, the opponent has a Zacian, and things are not looking great here, as Zacian should be able to double up on close combats, and that's going to be getting rid of Kartana. Kartana is able to grab the final shield. Kartana will shield up here. They go for close combat number 1, and they have close combat number 2 ready to go. Very unfortunate. Kartana will be taken out, and there's just nothing Terrakion can do here, and that's game over. Hopping into the final match, picking up a very nice lead, Terrakion into Dialga. Opponent save switches into a Giratina Altered, and like that previous battle, Giratina is very tough for this team to handle without the Dragon Tail Groudon. Able to get some chip with Rock Slide, and now in comes Genesect. Genesect will be met with quite a bit of energy here from the Giratina. Giratina goes for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to hit for resisted, and now Genesect is going to fire back with the Technoblast. Technoblast lands, nearly KOing the Giratina. Giratina is able to reach a last-second Dragon Claw. Genesect is able to Fury Cutter down. Opponent is going to send back in Dialga. Dialga looking for the farm down, but not before Genesect is able to make it to the Technoblast. Technoblast does quite a bit of damage onto Dialga. Dialga trying to farm down. Genesect not able to make it to the Technoblast, will settle for the X-Scissor. X-Scissor does get the shield as the opponent had lost count. In comes Terrakion. Terrakion will not appreciate an Iron Head, so we will see a shield shield being used. Terrakion looking for the farm down. In the back, it's Kyogre. And look at this whale get shredded. Kartana in a great position to finish out this game. Surf lands. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. While Kartana is definitely more of a pick for fun than for climbing, it is very fun to see a trainer use a Pokemon as spicy like this and still have great success elo-wise as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.